Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson, and boy, there's nothing going on in Raiderland this week, is there? That's what, like 3 or 4 of the first comments in the mailbag thread were like, "Hey, is there anything going on around tech this week?" So yeah, and there were a bunch of questions. I'm not going to get to all of them, but I believe I'm answering 12 around a dozen questions, and they're really good, and obviously we do have a lot to talk about this week, so let's dive right into them. The first one comes from NTX Raider, who asks, without looking into any of it, which of course I have, says, if you had to say one realistic name to be the next hire, who would it be? Well, I know I sound like a broken record, but I got to go with Jeff Traylor. I mean, we already know that they've interviewed Traylor. It was reported that President Skuvanek and Athletic Director Kirby Hocutt interviewed with Traylor on Thursday morning. I've actually heard that the whole committee met with him. I don't know if it was the same time or what, or how it all worked out, but just that's what I was told by someone I really, really trust. So, yeah, I think Traylor's the first target. I'm not saying it's a done deal by any means. I'm not saying it's a slam dunk. I'm just saying he seems to be the clear-cut favorite or top target, and we'll see what transpires from there. I do think, well, I've been told the committee is going to interview several of the candidates. I don't think this is going to be something, definitely not something that's announced quickly. So even if they have some kind of informal deal, I've heard there's been an offer, which of course would have to be informal to Traylor, then, I mean, actually for real confirming that will be difficult. I expect this to be a lengthy process. I think Traylor's a top target, but I'm definitely not saying it's a done deal at all. I'm glad they're going to be thorough and interview other targets. You can check our hot board for the other guys on the list. I know Sonny Dykes is one of the guys mentioned. I mean, of course, Sonny Cumbie is auditioning for the job as well right now. They're taking on Oklahoma. Oh, by the way, 2:30 p.m. Saturday in Norman. So, you know, that ought to be interesting to see how the players react there. But if I had to say, and I have said, I believe Traylor's the top target, and, you know, it'll be up to him to say yes or no. Next question comes from 241121st. He says, in your opinion, what makes Tech's offense sputter for long periods of time? Yeah, you know, this whole program is just inconsistent at times. I think that's just really like, if there was one word you'd use to describe Texas Tech football, it would be this year, especially, it'd be inconsistent, just the up and down, or you could say consistently inconsistent. You know, because I feel like at times this offense has been explosive, but I think also, you know, you had Tyler Shuck in there for the first couple games, and then Columbia came in and it was an improvement at first, but, you know, I think he's regressed. So you've had 3 different quarterbacks working in there with Donovan Smith coming in some packages, and then you know, you've had some injuries along the offensive line. So I just feel like injuries at running back. You know, Sarajic wasn't available at the beginning of the season, and then by the time he was coming back, Taj Brooks went down. Now he's back, but, you know, so now for the first time you really feel like you have, you know, full complement of your running backs. So it's just been a number of things. And then I think just, you know, a mark of a good team or a good offense is consistency. And I just feel like it's just not a good offense. It's a fair offense. Like, it can put up some points. You look at the statistics, and it's, you know, it's the stats are good for the most part. But yeah, there are times it gets bogged down. Like, obviously the second half against Kansas State, and there are a number of reasons for that, whether it be somebody missed a blocking assignment, quarterback misses a throw, receiver you know, runs a wrong route or misses a block on a screen. I mean, running back just falls down. That kind of stuff has happened this year, so it's been a number of things. Next question comes from Jay Mizo, who asks, does Donovan Smith finally get the start this week? Well, not according to Sonny Cumbie, who in his press conference said that Columbia will start. So I don't know how much Donovan Smith is going to play, but I expect, you know, at least as much as he has been. But, you know, I do, you know, obviously Columbia's going to start. So we'll see. All right, next one comes from TWLDS Raider, who asked Coke or Pepsi. That's a trick question. Dr. Pepper, I'm Texan, of course. Though, if I had to choose between those two, Coke, for sure. Pepsi's a Yankee drink. I'm Texan. So, just, you know, to speak on that, my co-host on the Rocket Pregame Radio Show, Pete Christie, he likes vanilla Pepsi. So, you know, Yankee. He's from Baltimore. So, but he's a good guy. I love Pete. Pistol Pete. But, nah, man. You know, Dr. Pepper and then Coke. J. Luke Raid wants to know who should be starting quarterback moving forward. Well, I would like Donovan Smith to just, you know, look, the season's already been disrupted. Might as well see what you have exactly in Donovan Smith instead of just in spot duty. Columbia, 2 seasons in a row, came in with a bang and kind of regressed as the more he played. So, and Donovan Smith just possesses capabilities that Columbia just doesn't. I mean, I do like the experience Columbia has. I do like his toughness and grit. But, I mean, he's missing some plays. There's some plays he's not making that I think Smith could. And he's been turning the ball over anyway. So it's not like, I mean, you're getting a guy who doesn't turn the ball over in Columbia. So, you know, to me, what do you have to lose with Donovan Smith? So that's what I'd like to see. Quasimodo says, who's someone you would love to see Tech hire? And who's someone you don't want Tech to hire? I would really like Tech to hire Joey McGuire as defensive coordinator. I'm a big fan of his. He knows Tech. You know, his daughter went to Tech. You know, obviously knows the Big 12. He knows Texas high school football. How good X's and O's he is, you know, in terms of defense, I don't know for sure. So that, I mean, that's a concern. But I do like him. I do think he knows his stuff. And in terms of the Big 12, Tech, recruiting, all that. So I think that's who I'd like to see Tech kick the tires on. Is Joey McGuire there, who's at Baylor, and he was at Cedar Hill High School for a long time. In terms of who I don't want them to hire, I don't want them to hire Art Briles, just because, well, for obvious reasons, all the baggage that he brings, and how it would divide the fan base, you know, a fractured fan base, even more. I think it's a bad idea, and I really don't think it's going to happen, quite honestly. New York Raider 23 says, when was the moment you knew the Wells experiment wasn't going to work? Well, I mean, there were some signs along the way, but the TCU game, I mean, when I felt like the game plan, just the staff, which he ultimately is responsible for, even if he didn't come up with a defensive game plan, it didn't give the team a chance to compete with a team that's good, not even very good, certainly not great. That was very frustrating. So that's when I said, okay, I mean, if they decide to make a move, I understand it, you know. And then, of course, the loss to Kansas State, the way it went down was bad. And I think he was already rattled. You could tell in that coach's show, you know, where he couldn't come up with the answer, what do you like about Lubbock? So, good guy. I'm a huge fan of Matt Wells. I wish him nothing but the best moving forward. You know, I hope to know him moving forward. You know, if he ever need anything, I would definitely be there for him. But I agree that it was probably time to move on. Though I get others who say, you know, he should have been given at least the rest of the third season. I understand that side of it too. Tech Freak wants to know, is the cupboard bare after this season for the football team? How much talent can we expect back next year? Yeah, that's a good question. You know, obviously there's a bunch of super seniors that are going to be leaving. And then after that, I mean, there's no way for me to know that until the new coach comes in. We'll have to just see who comes in, what direction they want to go in, what kind of personnel they need, you know, what kind of scheme they have, you know, which means what kind of personnel do they want to match to that scheme. So there's just so much that we don't know to be able to answer that. Now, in terms of super seniors, though, there's a bunch, but I mean, I'll put it to you this way. The new coach is going to inherit a much better roster than Wells did. So in terms of depth, for sure. TTU Dad 2012 said he and his family walked past me while I was doing the pregame radio show. He says he was in Tech gear, but of course there was a lot of guys in Tech gear. He says, I had my back turned and I definitely did not want it. He did not want to interrupt me. He says they were running late and could not stick around. Sorry to not say hi. He said, yeah, you are tall. Laugh out loud. No questions, and this will be interesting. Yeah, I just want to say, hey, if you see me, you know, I'm at River Outfitter. They're right across the street from the Jones there on University for all the home games. You know, we have been. This is our 6th season. So any of y'all out there, I mean, some of y'all do. I ran into From Syntax and talked to him for a little bit. But I'll always, I mean, unless it's just like I'm doing a recruiting segment and I have to like talk the whole time, I'll always stop, you know, and say hi at least, you know, fist bump or handshake or whatever, you know. So yeah, if y'all are out there, you see me, you can't miss me. Like TTU Dad said, I'm pretty tall. So, you know, hey, introduce yourself. Come say hi. Raider fan once says Saturday was a disaster. As always, one can claim any number of situations that lost the game. He said he had the same thought I did, that Tech was up 14 in the first quarter, ball in the 50, and they could go go 3 and out. There was no killer instinct. He says, now that Sonny is in charge, will they be motivated for the remaining schedule? Yeah, I think they will. I think these guys are going to play for each other. I think they want to go to a bowl game. You know, I think that's a thing. So I think they're going to be motivated. I don't know if that's going to show against Oklahoma because I expect Oklahoma to crush them. But still, there'll be 3 other games after this, and I think Texas Tech has an opportunity. I don't know about Iowa State, but Oklahoma State and Baylor, I think it's possible that Tech can win one of those 2 games. Not easy, but possible. This is a good question. LBJ Raider says, do you think the Cumbie hire last offseason was made with this exact scenario in mind? In fact, that the fact he came in as offensive coordinator and then Wells was dismissed and Cumbie was made the interim head coach. Yeah, I do actually. I've thought that many times. As soon as he was hired, I thought, well, this could be, you know, a way to push Wells out. You know, I think some of the people involved that had Cumbie hired, I think probably had that in mind as well. And you know, with the games against Texas, TCU, and Kansas State, Wells didn't do himself any favors. So when Cumbie was hired, and then throughout this process this week, it's crossed my mind several times that this was probably inevitable. I think I even said it in a podcast with Mike Joe. Speaking of Sonny Cumbie, Eastland says, what does Cumbie have to do to become the head coach? Yeah, you know, I would think even just winning 2 games. I mean, if they went, you know, 7-5 and won 2 games against ranked opponents, at least teams that are ranked right now, I mean, that would be pretty impressive. But, you know, for example, when I mentioned that to Mighty Joe, he didn't think that would be enough. So he thought either a win over Oklahoma and another one, like in that scenario, 2 wins, or lose to Oklahoma and win the last 3. So, I mean, either one of those scenarios, I definitely agree that, I mean, you got to take a long look at Sonny Cumbie for sure. So I think it's possible, though improbable. But it's definitely, I think if the players in exit interviews, if they won a couple of games and then the players spoke well of Cumbie, then that's something that Kirby Hocutt and the committee will have to listen to. And I know that there's people in the committee that like Sonny Cumbie. So, I mean, I think it's possible, but improbable, to be honest. But hey, with that, great stuff as always. Thank you for the great questions, and until next time.